All right, welcome. Another session of meditation for Coral Living. How's it going?
Good.
Good week?
Excellent week.
Excellent week. Not so bad of a week. Had some problems last week. It's kind of spilled over here, but we're all alive. We're doing well.
What was not so good about
your week? Just business stuff, with the wife's business.
No, we don't know. Fill
No,
everybody in.
No, my wife breeds dogs, and she's really good at it, but they got a very rare disease, and it kind of sucks. So we got to take care of them, and some of them are at the vets, these puppies and stuff like that. But some of them seem to be on the mend now, so we're
just bubbly water, folks.
Hopefully we're over the patch there. But anyway, welcome to another night. We're going to talk about some spiritual stuff tonight, and I thought a good subject to talk about would be brain fog. Now, we talked about it a bit before we got started here, so we might have a little bit of a different take on certain things. But the idea of brain fog revolves around the messiness of the mind. Let's say, your inability to focus. And it's funny because in meditation we are trying to build up our focus and our concentration and our awareness, and we have so many things in our lives that can get in the way of that. We have all the electrical devices that we have constantly going. You have probably noticed that when you go to do a meditation, you have greater success at times than other. Now, have you noticed that? Like, if you set up a time to go meditate, you have some sessions that are better than other sessions?
Depends on how I label my sessions. It depends, because it depends on what you're going for. One session I might have a lot of success in separating myself from my internal dialogue and observing the chaos within my brain, and garner that as like some kind of like success, like, oh, I was really able to observe my thoughts from some kind of separated position. And then another time I might see my meditation as a success because I was actually able to quiet my mind so much that there wasn't so much internal chaos and dialogue. Like, my mind was actually quiet, and that's a success too. So what's best?
Well,
what's better?
I don't know if there is a better. Like we talked about before, I would find with myself that I have better meditative sits if prior to my sitting I was doing something that wasn't using all of my brain muscles. Like, I hadn't just finished binge watching something on Netflix, or been playing video games, or eating a Big Mac. I find that I get more clarity if, say, I had just coming home from a walk, or I was reading a book.
What do you mean by clarity?
My mind doesn't seem so active. Like, it's not, I don't have a million thoughts, and it seems like I'm not trying to focus so much on things rapidly. It's calmer. It seems like the mind is calmer. Now, maybe it just seems that way. Maybe that's not really a thing. I did a little bit of studying on it and listened to some people, and they were saying that a lot of the things we do add to our brain fog. Like, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to have the best mental clarity. When you wake up, your grogginess is going to be inflamed.
Well, what if there was some yogi out there or something that prescribed not sleeping for an entire night to get some sense of...
And maybe there's something to be gained from that. Maybe there's something to be gained from hyper grogginess. Although you could kill yourself if you didn't sleep. So go to sleep.
But people fast.
Yep.
You know, and again, I think the last time I was on here, I said, you know, I'm not saying go out there and fast. I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying that there's quite a bit of evidence that is used as a spiritual practice.
Yes, depending on, I guess, what you're going for. I'm sure, you know, there are times for these things. I would find on a day-to-day basis, you know, minimizing maybe some things in your life can help, you know, that use up all your brain's capacity, you know, could probably help with your sits. I think there's a big difference between having your mind on hyperstimulation versus doing some of the things you were talking about, maybe, you know, going on a fast, or a little bit of, or maybe a lot of sleep deprivation.
Well, there's all this spiritual alchemy. There's all this stuff that people do that are like only exist because somebody did it at some point. You know, somebody purposely was like, I'm not going to eat for spiritual posterity or whatever, you know, like, or I'm going to ingest this psychedelic drug, or I'm going to do whatever crazy thing to get in touch with something spiritual, whether it be abstaining from something or engaging in something. And before we started this, I was talking about like a band like, you know, Motley Crue or something that seemed to be as gluttonous and hedonic as possible at the height of their career. You know, like they're skyrocketing into success while living completely abhorrently to certain religious, moral, or spiritual standards. And it's not clear to me that there's a specific path that you ought to, that you should prescribe to everybody that they ought to take. That some people might reach, you know, for lack of a better word, some kind of enlightenment from who knows what means.
So maybe a middle ground would be along the lines of that there is no direct path that is the same for everyone. You'll probably have to find what works for you in whatever path you choose to take, and you can go from there. Another thing I just wanted to point out, though, is that I wanted to mention this because I found this was kind of interesting when it comes to the brain fog issue, is that your subconscious is working even when you are not, you know, aware of it. And your subconscious, what were we talking about? Procrastination. I found that interesting, that procrastination can cause brain fog because you're putting off something that you know you need to do, and so your subconscious is working on overdrive, trying to make you aware that you have something you need to do. You've got something to do, and that can kind of act as interference if you're trying to calm your mind and you're doing a sit or something like that. So
what was that? What was the thing that you just said?
Where were you?
What was the sum of
the
it?
Procrastination part. We were talking about I was talking about procrastination.
Oh, right. So if you watch a million YouTube videos and fill your mind with sports stats or something, I don't know, maybe that can negatively affect your
dealing with things. It could be there could be emotional issues or things that are unresolved. Resolving things can help bring mental clarity. I'm sure of it, but I guess you'll have to find out and test it out. But along the lines of the procrastination thing.
Well, what specifically about procrastination is like procrastination? Procrastination in regards to what? Like your daily meditation practice, or procrastination towards?
Well, say it could be work. It could be you're at school or something, and you have an essay that you need to write. You keep telling yourself, oh, I can get to that, I can get to that, I can get to that. But inside, you're building anxiety because the longer you put it off, the harder it's going to be to get it accomplished.
Well, some people aikido procrastination in their favor. Like some people, the only way they can be really focused is to procrastinate the hell out of something until the final 24 hours before the thing's due, and then they've got like hyper focus. I'm not saying it's a good method. I'm not saying that you should do that or something like that.
You're just playing good devil's advocate.
Yeah, I'm just playing a devil's advocate. Is all I'm doing, really.
Yeah.
Is that everybody deals with time management differently, and it's funny to me. It's just a little funny to me that people insist on a best way or best practices method towards things when it doesn't seem to reflect what's gotten humanity to the point it's at all. There seems to be so much chaos and so much mess.
I was just going to say
chaos and mess to get us to where we are. Like some of the most fundamental things that we like, whether it's in terms of medical or technological, come from pretty chaotic situations. Computers and certain types of medicine seem to have emerged from, at least in some instances, things like war and things like pretty negative things. So to say for sure that you ought to have some kind of scheduled regimen and that applies to everybody, yeah, like maybe it sounds pretty good, and you could prescribe that and maybe even make some money writing a book about how you ought to live a certain way, but it's not necessarily true for everybody.
So it sounds like you're going to have to sample the ground, and you're going to have to decide for yourself what works for you. For me, I don't know. I'm sure you got your ways. For me, things that I like to do is I like to put myself on fasts and certain things. I'm the guy who writes stuff down in a book, who makes a spreadsheet, and I try to push myself that way. Even accountability on certain things. Like there's, to get me to that next level or push me forward, if there is such a thing, getting to a next level, and if it matters.
And again, my only trepidation, my only dubiousness comes from the fact that you could be very efficient, and you could be very efficiently building yourself a ladder to hell. You could be way off in your efficiency, and that could come in so many different forms. That's all. The only caveat that I would put out there is that the map is not the territory, but which has been said a million times.
Be safe.
Super cliche.
But be safe too. Don't do anything ridiculous.
Yeah, be safe, because you can always. It's like a haircut. You can always take more off. You can't put it back.
You could go on a 40-day fast like Jesus in the desert, and I could kill you.
Yeah, maybe you get maybe your kidneys shut down because you haven't eaten.
Yeah.
Right?
So, but anyway, I think we've blabbed on long enough. We're going to hit the mats. That's why we're here, is to do these 20-minute meditations. So if you're interested, come sit, do the 20 minutes, and we'll see you after the 20 minutes. All right, back. There we go. So, it's the next portion of the show, usually where I jump into some type of spiritual teaching, but tonight I'm going to do something a little bit different because I want to take a look at an indigenous group of people known as the Evenki, or Evenk, or Evenks. I'm probably butchering it. But most, I don't want to say most, but a lot of indigenous ancient tribes and stuff like that, they didn't write a lot of stuff down. A lot of their stuff is passed by oral traditions and stuff like that. So I like to try and give a piece of that culture, which I've done before with another native group. I was doing something in the past, like probably 15 episodes ago. But what I'm going to do is I have a slideshow for you to show you some of the Evenki people. So I'm going to take the picture off of us, and then I'm going to play a little bit of music from them in the background and tell you just a couple little tidbits about them. So let me just put that slideshow on. I'll go to, how do I do this? I hope I don't screw this up. Video capture, bang. Is that on the video? Yes, it is. And I will go to slideshow, bam. And
How the heck did you figure out how to do this?
Put some music on. Oh, okay, so let's start from the beginning. Okay, so here's some of the music. So these people, they are from this indigenous tribe comes from the east. They're in like northern China and / with Russia, and I think they started around the 15th century. And obviously you can see by some of the pictures that they're up in the north, so they have to survive in some harsh conditions. And I was looking on Wikipedia. I'll read this little origins section here on Wikipedia. It says the Evenks, or Iwiki, were sometimes conjectured to be connected with the Shiwi people who inhabited the greater Kiegan Range in the 5th to 19th centuries, although the native land of the majority of Evenki people is in the vast regions of Siberia. The Iwiki languages forms the north branch of the Manchu-Tanguisic language group and is closely related to Ivan and Negadal in Siberia. So these guys, they would pasture deer and horses. You can see in some of the pictures here the deer. And the reason I picked these guys, like many Native American tribes, they were animistic in nature, which means that everything that they saw in physical reality, they believed had a spirit or a soul to it. They had great reverence for anything that they killed. They used every portion of whatever they took from the land, and they tried to replace it with what they could. And that's something that's kind of lost in Western culture. A lot of what we do is we have a ton of waste. We waste absolutely everything. We kind of shit all over the planet. But that's something that we could learn maybe from these people, is their respect for absolutely everything. And like most native tribes, when empires and stuff took over, like when the Russian Empire established itself in the 1700s, they kind of pushed themselves into the Evenki communities and mixed with them and forced them to learn Russian ways. And so a lot of their language is lost. Very few people speak their language, although in Russia and in China there are two groups that I think there's about 30,000 of them still left, but very few of them still speak the language, and but you know, you can see here, well, the cool dressings and stuff that they wear is pretty cool. You know, some of the stuff that they got on here. So I thought I'd share with them. You know, out here in the West, you probably never even hear these people, but you know, the internet's great. You can find all types of interesting stuff, and I just you can also see by some of these pictures, due to the harsh weathers and stuff like that, they become. You imagine how hard it would have been to live outdoors, you know, in these like frigid weathers, you know, especially Siberia. I think like one of the coldest places on Earth, you know. But they did it, and yeah, I guess that ends it for the Evenki here. What do you think, Justin?
That was awesome.
Yeah, so there you go, the Evenki.
That was awesome.
Right. Yeah, so
that was a very impressive little slideshow, and I mean, I'm not going to retain any of that information.
Oh, you might some of it, you know.
But that was cool.
It's very similar when you get into studying like native tribes and stuff like that. It's very common. A lot of the stuff, they have so many stories, but when you do research and stuff on this type of these people, it's hard to try and get what they're saying. There's language barriers and all that stuff, and a lot of their traditions are passed orally, so nothing's written down.
Well, they seem to be pretty pragmatic, like they seem to be pretty efficient and everything, with still being very magical, still being very, or at least symbolically oriented. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that pretty much wraps things up for tonight. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll throw it out there like I do every week. If you're new to meditation, give it 30 days. Try 20 minutes a day for 30 days. See if it can add anything or improve your life, or if you notice anything interesting, maybe it makes your life worse. I don't know. Give it a go. See what you can find, and if you watch this, I also post my stuff or our stuff on YouTube, so you can go to Coral Living on YouTube, and if there's a subject that you want to hear us talk about or something like that, write down in the comments, and then, you know, we'll try and
anything. You name it. Come up with the wackiest, creepiest thing you can think of.
Yeah, we'll find a way to incorporate it somehow, and we'll talk about it. So we're kind of new, so now's an easy chance. There's a high probability that if you put something down, we you know, you'll hear about it from us. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Everyone, take care. Thanks for watching, and
stay spiritual. Stay spiritual.